Okay, so I think we can start our session. So yeah, let me share my screen. Is my screen visible to you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, I think with that we can start our today's session. So what is an array? It is a fundamental data structure which is used to elements of same data type. This part is very important. Of same data type. Correct? Let me give you an example. So let's say this is int. Let's say this is ARR, correct? So this basically int is nothing but the data type. The type of the data which this array is going to store, and this array is ARR is name of the array. Is this part clear to each and every one of you?
Yes.
So now let me give you an example. So basically, let's say this is going to be your ARR and this is the array. So basically you can have, let's say 33, 43, 40, 34, 68, correct? So if these are basically element and this is the index location, it starts from value 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if you will notice, since this ARR is of type int, so all the elements are of type integer only. You cannot have, let's say 68.9 over here. Makes sense? Because it is going to violate the property, right? So that is why all the elements belongs to the integer data type. So in this example, as you could see, right? So there are 5 elements. That is why the size of the above array is equals to 5. Why 5? Because there are total 5 elements. All the elements in the array are of same data type, and that is integer. So why it is integer? Because as I had explained you in the previous example, I had used int ARR, right? Let's say if I would have used float ARR, in that situation you had to give, let's say 33.1, 43.8, 40.9, 34.7, 68.4. You're getting my point, right? So this is the property of the array. And one more point which I want to add over here is that, and that is really important, all array starts with an index location of 0. So are these 3 points clear to each and every one of you? Anyone having any doubt or concern till here? Feel free to ask me.
Actually, if you see, but is it any language agnostic? Because JavaScript and all, they support array of different data types, right? Elements.
Sorry, can you repeat?
I'm saying language like JavaScript, they support elements of different data types also in a single array.
Yes, I think in the JavaScript you can do that, but you cannot do that in the C++, Java or C. So I think it depends on the language, but normally, let's say this array data structure, fundamentally it has been designed, because again, it depends on the language as well. I can understand, but normally what happens is that you have this array, right? Along with that, you need to declare the data type, the kind of a data that that specific array is going to store.
Sorry, one doubt actually. In the Python, it was there, right? If you do -1, it will print the last, I think, right?
I think so, but over here, I
Yeah.
think we are sticking to, yeah, I think you are
Yeah.
right. But as I stated earlier also, right, it depends on the language, but like taking code to C, C++, Java, it throws it bound. I think it is, I'm not sure regarding the Python. I think you're right. In case if you are doing -1, then in the Python, it goes to the last element, but in C, C++, Java, it will throw you index out of bound. So again, it depends on the language which you're choosing. But since in this class, we are going to follow Java. So and Java and C++, they're almost similar in C. So it is going to be oriented towards that. So the thing is that if you are going to have, let's say -1 or -2, something like that, in these 3 languages, it is going to throw you index out of bound because it is designed to store the value from index location 0. Is it clear to each and every one of you now?
Yes.
So yeah. So let me explain a few more interesting things over here related to array, which will help you guys in solving the problem. Let's say you are having some array. And guys, if possible, try to ask me questions because I cannot like go through each and every message. Just ask me like if it is possible via audio, then you guys are feel free to ask me via audio only. So yeah, let's say you have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, correct? And let's say this is your array. They start from index location 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the thing is that array, this is the array name, index location 0. So ARR 0 will give you 20. ARR 1 will give you 30. ARR 2 will give you 40. ARR 3 will give you 50. ARR 4 will give you 60. And ARR 5 will give you 70. So can you guys see how combining the index location over here, you guys are basically getting these values. So ARR 0 will give you this 20. Basically at that specific location, index location, whatever element will be stored, this value will get returned. So ARR 0 will return you 20. ARR 1 will return you 30. ARR 2 will give you 40. ARR 3 will give you 50. Why? Because at index location 3, element 50 is stored. ARR 4 will give you 60. ARR 5, 70 will be returned. So is it clear to each and every one of you how you guys will be able to access the element? So one more thing I want to add over here is that ARRI will denote an element at index location I. That is why we are having this ARRI over here, because it will denote an element at index location I. Does this thing make sense to each and every one of you?
Yes.
And we are going to use ARRI a lot.
Yes.
That is why I'm explaining all these things which we are going to heavily use in our coding part.
I have
Yeah.
a doubt.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
the size will be always fixed. Like if we declare it with the length of 5, then we cannot change it later.
Yep. You can, if you're declaring it with the length of 5, you cannot change it later. Yep, you're right.
So if you add one more element to the array,
No,
is
it will throw
possible.
index out of bound. It will throw you index out of bound, right? Because
So we need to
you are
create
going
another
beyond
array.
that. Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you.
If you are using static array, that's what I had explained yesterday also, right? If you are using a static array of fixed size, if you want to add more element, it cannot accommodate that more element. If you are using dynamic array in C++, you have list, array list, and in Java you have list, array list. In C++ you have vector for dynamic array, correct? So if you are using dynamic array, then you can increase or decrease the size accordingly. No issues on that part. But
Okay.
if you have predefined the array size, then you cannot increase it further.
Okay.
Is it clear
Thank
to you now?
Yep.
Let me add one more important property in an array. Elements are stored in contiguous memory location. So basically, let's say whenever you are declaring int var is equals to 80, correct? So this variable var gets stored in memory, and that memory has a specific address, say 2000, correct? Now the thing is that in this case, let's say if you have an array 41, 43, 40, 30, 300. Now in this situation, you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the index location 41, 43, 40, 30, 300. These are the array element, correct? As I had stated you, all the elements are stored in the contiguous memory location. So obviously, let's say this element will be having some address. Let's say 3500. And assuming that integer takes 4 bytes, correct? So the next byte will be 3500 plus 4, which will be 3504. This is the memory location address, correct? And the next value will be 3508. Next value will be 3512. The next value will be 3516. So these are memory address location. And if you notice, all these values are contiguous in nature. This is the point which I explained, right? Elements are stored in contiguous memory location. If the initial address is 3500, next element will be stored at 3504, 3508, 3512, 3516. Is this point clear to each and every one of you?
Ranjan, for example, we are declaring the size of 6, and we are just assigning the value of 4, 5 values, right? But our size
Yes.
is 6. So
Yeah.
there will be some garbage thing, right? So
Yeah,
that
correct.
how it will be get calculated, whether it will be in continuous location or it will be in sample.
It will always be in contiguous location because the memory address is not bothered what actual value you are storing, right?
Okay.
Because whenever you're declaring the array size, right, corresponding to that size, it needs to occupy that corresponding memory. So it is not bothered. It has to allocate that memory, and now you need to allocate that element to that certain memory. It is not bothered if you're actually assigning any element or any garbage values are stored.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. If there is a garbage value, whether it will have some specific size for it.
You're talking about the garbage value?
Yeah, garbage value. Yes.
It depends on the language, like what kind of a garbage value it is putting. It is irrespective of that. Again,
Okay.
it could be either, let's say, the default value if you're not assigning any value, or it could be the garbage value. It
Okay.
depends on the language, that what kind of a garbage value they're putting. Yep.
Yeah, if there is any garbage value in the specific thing address, right, will it consider as a size, or it won't consider as any size here?
No, you are already declaring the size initially, right?
Okay.
You're talking about the size of the array. If in the static array, you shouldn't be bothered about the size because you're declaring the size initially only.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Yeah.